toy spot, we're going to be having a look at the Batman's Shadowtek Killer Moth figure. This Killer Moth is, I believe, in the second last series of the Batman cartoon. He was only really in one episode. He was technically in 2 episodes if you count the rumor episode where there was a vigilante capturing all the villains. But Killer Moth really, I think, was only in the single episode, the origin story of him. This isn't how Killer Moth, and this is a spoiler, so if you haven't seen the cartoon yet, at least at this episode, you probably would want to turn this off right now. But in the episode, Killer Moth actually doesn't appear like this until about the last 5-10 minutes or so, maybe more 5 minutes, I guess. In the earlier part of the episode, Killer Moth actually appeared in the attire more commonly recognized, like the Killer Moth comic book costume with the pink shirt and everything else. And then at the very end, he became this really cool, if you ask me, really cool interpretation of Killer Moth. He actually became this giant moth. And if we look at the back of the packaging here, the figure, as you can see, his gimmick is that you can fill him up with water and he can squirt his water. Look at that, eh? Water toys sometimes get messy. Protect play surfaces before use. Drain, rinse, clean, and dry all items thoroughly before storing. Overfilling of reservoir may cause leakage. Wow, look at that, eh? I find this funny, eh? The way they've submerged Killer Moth in the water. It's like they're drowning him. But really, really neat looking figure, though. I really like the look of him. And the other figures in the wave, there's Flamethrower Robin, there's Expo Batman, Shadowrang Batman, Killer Croc, which was via repaint, Citizen Wayne to Batman, and there's Samurai Slash Batman. Collect them all. I wouldn't advise it, though. So there you have packaging on Killer Moth. Let's get this guy opened up, and we will get a closer look at Killer Moth. Stay tuned. So now that Killer Moth is out of his packaging, let's get a closer look at the figure. I will say right off the bat that if you're looking for a superposable figure, you best probably look elsewhere. Killer Moth is definitely not going to be one of those figures. I've actually got him on his stand, and just because if I take him off the stand, there's the stand that he comes with. If you take him off the stand, the way he's positioned, at least on this backdrop I'm using, he does not stand at all. I mean, it's basically a lost cause with this guy. Now, where I was talking about the articulation, aside from his arms, where you get some articulation, that's all you're going to get. And unfortunately, it's one of those gimmicks where a gimmick takes, basically, where a gimmick, you lose all the articulation, and that's what I was going to say. With a gimmick, if you lose articulation because of it, I think sometimes that's a bad gimmick. So I even thought his waist rotated. It doesn't. I mean, the only reason for it is because, I think you guys can see it, there's a little hole in between his eyes, and you can actually, this is just almost like a sponge. You can basically just suck in the water and then squirt it out. Because of that, they've given up all the other cool things that could have made this figure even better, like articulation in the knees. Maybe you could have given articulation in the head, but yeah, we had to give him the spraying gimmick. That was a lot more important. But I gotta say, the coloring is really, really nice on the figure. The detailing is nice. I mean, I'm certainly not going to play with this figure, so just having him on display looking as cool as this, I think is fine with me. Yeah. So, I mean, not really too much else to say. I mean, I definitely would say pick him up. Oh, the one thing I will say, though, and I'm not going to show you the gimmick. Some people might email me and say, hey, can you show me how it squirts water? I will say this, any squirting feature, right off the bat, if I happen to do any more, I don't even know if I have any more figures that squirt water, but if there happens to be any other figures besides Killer Moth, assume that I'm never going to show you the gimmick for it, and the only reason for it is I learned when I was a kid. I had a couple of squirting water toys, and if you, like the instructions had pointed out, if you don't properly clean it out, I used to have water, and you never get all the water out. You always, you know, you can shake the figure, you can hear a little bit of water still inside. Then that starts getting gross inside, and then the figure starts to smell. I mean, as a kid, you know, you don't think to clean these things out as well as you could, but I'm just knowing that with that little hole being the only way to get that water out, I'm not going to fill up anything in here that down the road it is going to ruin this figure. I'm just going to keep him as is, keep him nicely displayed. Obviously put him on the display stand because you definitely will need it with this figure. But overall, really, really like this figure. It's probably, I would say, aside from the Mr. Freeze, the Mr. Freeze is definitely first with me. But aside from the Mr. Freeze, I think Killer Moth is probably one of the coolest interpreted figures from the Batman Rogues Gallery. I think they took what was probably a pretty lame character and they made him very cool in the cartoon. He didn't start off cool, but boy did he ever get cool. Definitely would say pick up this figure though. Don't look forward to any articulation because aside from the arms, like I said, that's all you're going to get. But if you can look past that point, I definitely would say pick up Killer Moth. He's definitely worth picking up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. That was a toy spot on the Batman. Was it Extreme Power? Yes, it was Extreme Power Killer Moth. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.